Listen, it's KP's Video News, y'all. That's right, it's KP's Video News, y'all. And you know, I'm I'm really saddened right now because to add insult to injury, my first story has to do with the Oklahoma Supreme Court and the 1921 Tulsa race massacre. So this is 2024. So that was 103 years ago that this massacre happened in Tulsa, Oklahoma. However, historically, 1919, 1920, well, actually 1919, they had a summer they call Red Summer, where it was hundreds of riots that happened, race riots that happened in the United States, by whites against blacks in the country, guys that were coming back from World War One, and with panic in their hearts, they were trying to uh, undercover eliminate these men that were coming back from World War One that had the ability in their hearts to fight for themselves. And the same thing happened after World War Two when a lot of black men were coming back from World War Two. They were coming back. They went away young men, young boys, and they came back men, and they were being systematically eliminated, lynched, even with their uniforms on. Those ones that returned to the South. The United States government knew about it and didn't say a word, didn't tell them, didn't stop them, didn't say, "Hey, take your uniforms off if you're going back, if you're going down south." Uh, so anyway, on with the story. The Oklahoma City Supreme Court today dismissed a lawsuit by the survivors of the 1921 Tulsa race massacre, dampening the hope of advocates for racial justice that the city would make financial amends for one of the worst single acts of violence against black people in U.S. history that left as many as 300 people demised and a once thriving district smoldering in ruins. The nine-member court upheld the decision made by a district court judge in Tulsa last year, ruling that the plaintiff grievances about the destruction of Greenwood District, although legitimate, did not fall within the scope of the state's public nuisance statute. Plaintiffs do not point to any physical injury to property in Greenwood, rendering it uninhabitable that could be resolved by way of injunction of other civil remedy. The court wrote in its decision, today we hold that relief is not possible under any set of facts that could be established consistent with the plaintiff's allegations. Messages left Wednesday with the survivors were not immediately returned, and the city said in a statement that it respects the court's decision and affirms the significance of the work the city continues to do with North Tulsa and Greenwood communities, adding that it remains committed to working with residents and providing resources to support the communities. The suit was an attempt to force the city of Tulsa and others to make recompense for the destruction of the once thriving black district while a white mob in 1921 on May 31st to June 1st included some people hastily deputized by authorities, looted and burned the district, which was referred as the Black Wall Street. As many as 300 black Tulsans were killed, and thousands of survivors were forced for a time into internment camps overseen by the National Guard. Burned bricks with the fragment of a church basement are about all that survived today of more than a 30-block historical black district. The two survivors of the attack, Leslie Randall and Viola Fletcher, who are both now over 100 years old. Man, they couldn't even give 100-year-old people reparations. Come on, man. Sued in 2020 with the hope of seeing that their attorney called justice in their lifetime. And the third plaintiff, Hughes Ellis, passed away last year at age 102. The court also determined the plaintiff's allegations did not sufficiently support a claim for unjust enrichment, which it said are typically limited to contractual relationships. Other defendants in the case included the Tulsa Regional Chamber of Commerce, the Board of Tulsa County Commissioners, and the Tulsa County Sheriff and Oklahoma Military Department. The lawsuit brought under Oklahoma's public nuisance law, arguing that the actions of the white mob continued to affect the city today. It contended that Tulsa's long history of racial division and tension stemmed from the massacre. In the city, and insurance companies have never compensated victims for their losses, and the massacre ultimately resulted in racial and economic disparities that exist today. The lawsuit argued it sought a detailed accounting of the property and the wealth lost or stolen in the massacre, the construction of the hospital in North Tulsa, and the creation of victims' compensation fund, among other things. Public nuisance claims are typically used to address local concerns like blighted homes, illegal drug dealing, and dangerous animals. Such claims were are used in lawsuits that states brought against tobacco companies in the 1990s, against opioid drug makers, but many of those led to settlements other than trials. In 2019, Oklahoma's Attorney General used the public nuisance to force opioid uh, people to pay to the Oklahoma Supreme Court, overturned that decision 2 years later. So, Oklahoma, I got to add Oklahoma to another thing on my list, state on my list of states to avoid and to stay away from. Right, stay away from Oklahoma, Texas, all those states, man, because they mean you no good. And here we go with another situation. This happened. The latest incident fueling suspicions that conservatives want to incite MAGA violence around the upcoming presidential election. A suspected white supremacist has been charged for allegedly plotting a race war by way of mass shootings of black and brown people in the city of Atlanta. An Arizona man, Mark Preto, 58 years old, was indicted by a grand jury yesterday under federal hate crime charges that could land him in prison for well over a decade if convicted. And Preto apparently was encouraged by prospect of carrying out his racial violence, originally planned for last month after he made acquaintance of the two men he thought were also racist, and turned out to be working for the FBI. Let me get I got to get my better reading glasses here. Get my better reading glasses. Excuse me. Okay. Now, the indictment alleges that between January 2024 and May 2024, Preto had discussions with two individuals working with the FBI to devise a plan to commit a mass shooting of African Americans and other minorities to incite a race war prior to the 2024 presidential election. Preto did not know the individuals was working with the government, but instead believed that they shared his racist beliefs and wanted to commit the mass shooting to incite a race war. The target event was a concert in Atlanta that was going to be held on May 14th and 15th. The indictment further alleges that, having discussed specific details about the planned attack, Preto sold two rifles to one of the individuals, an AK style rifle on February 25th, 2024, and an AR style rifle on March 24th, 2024. During the entire investigation, the Federal Bureau of Investigation closely monitored Preto's movements. On May 14th, Preto was stopped by law enforcement driving east from Atlanta through New Mexico. Driving east from Arizona through New Mexico along Interstate 40. Preto was in possession of 7 firearms and was taken into federal custody. Law enforcement then executed a search warrant at his home in Prescott, Arizona. Law enforcement found more arms in his residence, including an unregistered short barrel rifle. Preto was charged with firearms trafficking, transfer of firearm use in a hate crime, as well as possession of an unregistered firearm, which fetch a maximum of 15 years and 10 years, respectively, if convicted on both crimes. Preto also faces hefty fines of $250,000 for each charge. The indictment of Arizona seemingly validated concerns of such violence recently expressed by Democratic California Congressman Maxine Waters, who said she was concerned Donald Trump's criminal conviction could embolden his followers to incite political violence. Specifically, Waters wondered whether the Republican presidential candidate is using the verdict as a way to incite violence from his rabid followers who have shown their willingness to literally fight on his behalf. And following Trump's conviction on all 34 criminal counts in the criminal trial, he claimed he's an innocent man who was fighting for the Constitution. And the last four words were cause for a pause. Waters suggested, and if that was essentially a call to arms by the MAGA base of blindly faithful followers, going to spend some time with the criminal justice system, with the justice system asking them to tell us what's going on with the domestic terrorists, domestic terrorism, people born and raised right here in the United States. Uh, and they are preparing a civil war against us. Should we be concerned about our safety? What is he doing with this divisive language? Waters continued to ask, how far is this going to go? Are they going to be attacking? And whom are they going to attack? And what are we going to do? We're trying to get investigation going on about that, Waters stated. This is dangerous. This is a dangerous situation. We're going to have to be sure that we understand that we are now at risk with this man talking in the way he's talking and doing the things that he's doing. And he cannot, cannot be reelected. He cannot. It would be the biggest mistake that this country ever made. It would literally and be the largest and the biggest mistake that this country ever made. So here we go. We got a Indiana man is seeking justice after police officers entered his home and made multiple arrests without a warrant. The video shows the Lafayette Police Department officers entering the home of William Neal without a warrant on May 21st. Neal said the police told him that they were conducting a wellness check because they had reason to believe that someone was hurt inside. We had a call. We need to check on you. We need to come. Uh, we need you to come out here. It's not a lawful order, Neil said. You need to come out here. We need you to come out here. Makes no sense. At the time of the arrest, Neil was at home with his son and his girlfriend, Tammy. Officers claimed that a 911 call was made. Lafayette police later confirmed that no call was made from the home and the officers didn't have a warrant to enter. In a statement, Lafayette Police Chief Scott Galloway said officers had received compelling evidence suggesting a domestic battery and confinement had occurred with the persons at the address. But Neil said the evidence was 7-year-old video showing a domestic dispute between another one of his sons and a woman in a different town. They were talking about they wanted to bust into my house. I'm Michael and Leslie. I'm like, you're wrong, Neil said. Galloway said officers entered the home as they were unable to verify the safety of the individuals inside. Upon entering the residence, officers arrested Neil and his son for misdemeanor resisting of law enforcement. Tammy reportedly wasn't arrested, but said she was manhandled by the officers. Put me down on steps. I tripped. I hurt my knee. You know, if you're here for a wellness check for a female and then you manhandle the female, it doesn't make sense to me. Neil was taken to Tippecanoe County Jail, where he was released. He filed a complaint against the Lafayette Police Department. They had me posted all on the Tippecanoe booking sheet or whatever, like I'm some kind of criminal. Yep. And it's like, yeah, these guys, cops come there, and let me read that again. That was like Neil said the evidence, and this is the uh, evidence was on a 7-year-old video showing a domestic abuse. 7 years old. So it's like, come on, man. It took you guys 7 years to get there? Wow. Here's a situation that happened in Los Angeles on to LA. The LA County uh, City Council has president is demanding answers after security camera picked up two Burbank police officers allegedly dropping off a homeless man near his office and driving away as he lay on the ground. And Councilman Krikorian released a video that showed two uniformed officers pull up to the street in North Hollywood on June 6th, get the unidentified man out of their marked vehicle in handcuffs, unhandcuffing him, and then driving off as he appeared to get on the ground on all fours. The man, who wasn't wearing any shoes, is seen lying on the ground on his belly. Friday, this was cruel and inhumane and fundamentally irresponsible. And Krikorian said his office staffers were able to find the man and get him medical care, after they were given the security footage. And the councilman said he was outraged that the officers showed no attempt to help the man without giving any aid to this person, without determining if anyone could provide services to this person. They dumped him in North Hollywood. And the councilman reached out to Burbank mayor's office about the incident, and the city said the Burbank Police Department is conducting an in-depth investigation. Wow! So the police took this homeless person from one city, from from Burbank, and dropped him off in a whole nother city for no reason, and it's like, wow, wow. Okay, this is gonna be the last story in this episode, and this is a funny one here, cause they got a guy, a Republican senator hopeful that this week tried to cause a public uproar over an out of control problem in a major U.S. city, but inadvertently directed his rage at water fountains. That's right, folks. I said water fountains. Royce White, a former basketball player with ties to conspiracy theorist Alex Jones. This guy, Royce White, just happens to be a black guy that's involved with conspiracy theorists. The guy that just got sued down in Florida for his, all the bad things that he said about those people that suffered in Florida with that mass shooting. Anyway, what he shared actually depicted where citizens could enjoy a free drink. Yep. So what he thought he was raging against Minneapolis crime yesterday when he shared the map, but he was showing a map of a doggone fountain. So the people were like really roasting this guy, man. Said, "Oh man, this is the man the Minnesota Republican Party has endorsed." And so while later updated the tweet to include Minneapolis map of shots fired, the number of which Ingram noted had recently seen 34% decrease from about a 3-year average, Ingram quipped, but crime is out of control because reasons. The senatorial hopeful did not make a change quickly enough to save himself from proper, uh, you know, hazing that he got. And that's crazy, Royce. All that crime in one area, that that sure does make me thirsty. Any idea where I can find a drinking fountain? Sorry, Royce, you tweeted the map of Minneapolis drinking fountains. So wow. So White appeared not to take the mockery well, stating, "Shut your mouth, shut your mouth." It's not the first time White has been subjected to criticism after getting the third party nod to challenge Democratic incumbent Amy Klobuchar. Oh, boy. So Minnesota's largest newspaper recently came out against White's campaign and editorial staff declares him unfit for office. Unfit for office. Yep. And so it references reports that White claims that women have become too mouthy, rallied against the Jewish lobby, and is accused of spending campaign cash at a strip club. Wow. The latter point prompted on-off White's followers to offer some advice. Less time at the strip club, suggested Eco Gal, and more researching stats. That's funny, man. Anyway, man, you know who it is. It's KP's Video News. That's funny to me. That's funny to me, man. Yep, this guy can sit up here and literally, physically put up a map of water fountains in the city and tried to claim that these were maps of places where crime incidents had happened. You got the wrong map, buddy. Only thing people gonna get from this is to know where all the drinking fountains are in that city. Nah, you're not. You and Donald Trump, man, go somewhere and sit down. Both of you guys are unfit to be dog catchers. Anyway, this is KP's Video News. Don't forget to hit that red and white subscription bell. Subscription box, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you can get all the latest KP's Video News videos. Don't forget to share this video with your family, friends, frenemies, and enemies. And KP's Video News, y'all.